Hi everyone! So today we are going to be making this really cool kaleidoscope lettering. As you can see, I have used my name to create a pattern, and it's almost like a mirrored image. So if you've ever seen a kaleidoscope, when you look through it, you can see lots of colors and lots of patterns. So that is what this is kind of recreating. So for this project, all you need is paper, markers, or coloring pencils, or even crayons, whichever you have or whichever you prefer, and scissors as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So first thing you want to do is we want to take our sheet of paper and we want to turn it into a smaller square. So how we do that is we want to take the top corner and we fold it down like this. After you fold it, your paper should look like this. And then we're going to go ahead and cut off this bottom half. Now when you're cutting, you want to make sure that all of your lines are straight, because that's going to make a huge difference later in the activity when you start to write out your word. Now as we're doing this, I want you to think about a word that you want to write on your paper. So for my example, I use my name, but we can also use other words like strong or smart or bold, like grandma. So you're just going to cut off the bottom half. To create your square. Now, once you make this first square, you're going to take another sheet of paper and do the exact same thing, okay? Once you have both of your squares cut out, you're going to take one of those papers and you should see, after you folded your paper, you should see 4 triangles on your square. You are then going to cut out one of those triangles because you'll need it for the next step. So let's go ahead and cut our triangle. Again, you want to make sure that you have really straight lines. So if you need to use a ruler or something else that has a straight edge so that your lines are super straight, go ahead and do that. So after we cut, we should have one triangle that looks like this. Now on this triangle, we are going to write a word. So for my example, I decided to write the word brave. Now you'll notice it looks kind of weird, but you'll notice that on the paper, on the triangle, we want to make sure that each of the letters that we write start from the top edge and goes all the way to the bottom of the paper, like so. Now, I know some people struggle with bubble letters. I decided to write mine in bubble letters, but you don't have to do that. You can just write them regular, okay? So once you write out your word on the smaller triangle, you want to then go over it with either a black marker or a Sharpie or a black coloring pencil. For my example, I used the black coloring pencil and I just made sure I wrote down on it really hard because that's going to be important in the next step. So you are going to trace over your writing with a black marker or pencil, and make sure you do the front and the back. So both sides of the triangle should be traced over with a black marker or coloring pencil. Again, that's going to be super important in our next step because then we're going to use our smaller triangle to then trace trace the words onto our square that we had earlier. So you'll notice that when we folded our square in the triangles, you could see the lines help us really get those triangle designs. So this is going to help us in our next step because we are going to use this triangle to trace the letters onto our larger square. Okay. So after tracing, you should notice your paper should look like this. Now you're going to repeat the pattern around to the other 3 triangles. But the tricky part, when you trace, you want to make sure that you flip your triangle over every time. So if we started this way, like this, we're going to flip our triangle over when we trace it to the other part. So now that we have it all traced, this is what it looks like. So as you're tracing it, it could be helpful to use the lines on the paper to line up each letter with the next. Okay. Now that we finished tracing it, we can go ahead and add color to it. Okay, so this is my finished product. Now, if you want, you can go ahead and color in all the white spaces, but I decided not to do that. So here it is, our kaleidoscope lettering. All right, hope you guys have fun.